Good evening and welcome to everyone joined here today for our first webinar of the year. Boeing's reputation hit yet again. Thank you for joining us this evening, and I hope you're excited and ready to gain some insights into today's topic. Before we get into the details, I'd like to encourage everyone to keep your camera switched on throughout the session. Ensure your microphone is on mute until our question and answer session. And during our question and answer session, you can unmute and ask questions. But if you have any questions along the way, you're more than welcome to enter it in the chat box and we'll answer them at the end. I would now like to start off by introducing us, Millennium College of Aviation Studies, MCAS for short. We are an aviation college specialized in offering aviation management programs, and currently we offer the largest array of aviation programs in Sri Lanka. We were founded in January 2021, and we pride ourselves in being the leaders in aviation education. We are also partners with several academic bodies in the UK and Malaysia, and locally with several aviation organizations. MCAS is committed to creating aviation professionals and advancing aviation education. What makes us leaders in aviation education? Well, we are the first to launch Sri Lanka's first aviation management degree and multiple other programs like the postgraduate diploma in aviation management, which is the first of its kind in Sri Lanka. We have also graduated over 50 students in the past 3 years and have around 60 active students. To give you an insight into our programs, which will be listed down, we'll start off with our highest program, which is the Level 7 International Postgraduate Diploma in Aviation Management. This is our OTHM endorsed program, especially for our aviation professionals. Then we have the Level 6 program, which is the BBA in Airline and Airport Management, which is awarded by Lincoln University in Malaysia. We also have a Level 5 qualification, which is the International Higher Diploma in Aviation Management, which also is another OTHM endorsed program and Sri Lanka's only higher diploma in Sri Lanka. We also have a Level 4 qualification known as the Diploma in Airline and Airport Management, which is recognized by TVEC, which is Sri Lanka's education governing body. We do also have a Level 3 qualification and a Level 4, another one called the International Diploma in Aviation Management. And the Level 3, which is the Foundation Diploma for Higher Education Studies, which are for our younger crowd right after O-levels. And we do also have a few shorter programs, which goes as our certificate level programs into airport ground operations, aviation and hospitality management, and aviation fundamentals, as well as we have recently tied up with many aviation corporates, and we are offering trainings mainly into professional and personal development. I would now like to hand over the session to Mr. Abdullah, the founder and CEO of MCAS and moderator of today's session, to share with you more details. Over to you, Abdullah.
Thank you, Ranisha. A very warm welcome and a good evening to all the participants who are joining us today. Thank you, Ranisha, for giving a very good introduction on who we are and what we do. Dr. Madhura Tiwanka, thank you so much for joining us to host today's event and to share your thoughts and experiences and expertise on the topic that we're going to cover today. I would like to add a little bit more on how we advance aviation education. We constantly develop our lecture pool with aviation experts. We always bring in subject experts for our programs in order to give the best input and knowledge to our students and audiences in order to provide a comprehensive learning environment. We always seek to develop partnerships with aviation organizations, By developing partnerships with aviation organizations, we are engaging directly with the aviation industry, where we can also learn the issues, challenges, and trends in the industry and apply it directly to our courses and programs at MCAS. And also, such collaborations help with placing our students for internships and jobs. Moving on, creating and introducing new aviation programs to the market. Some of you all will agree that MCAS is the pioneers of aviation education in Sri Lanka, where we constantly innovate new programs. Because as an aviation college, if we do not innovate new programs, then we are failing the aviation industry. The aviation industry is a fast moving and evolving industry which requires constant adaptation and developments. Hence, we are constantly innovating and launching several programs. In the first year of our operations, we started off with only one program. And as my colleague Ranisha was going through, currently today, after 3 years of our operations, we have over 10 plus programs in our college. We constantly seek to deliver relevant, up-to-date, quality, and international level curriculum across all our programs so that we can give you the best of the best aviation education here locally. And MCAS are aviation geeks. The management of MCAS is run by people who have a solid aviation education background and expertise in running education businesses. But the most important out of every factor is that we are all diehard aviation fans, just like our students and the people that we circle around with. We are aviation geeks. Moving on, a little bit on how we are currently working to further advance the aviation education, because aviation education does not mean that it only has to remain within the classroom. There are also out of the classroom other things, other efforts that we can do to educate the public, our students, and aviation enthusiasts on aviation. So currently, we are engaging in efforts to report and share our views on aviation, important events, situation, and updates. If some of you all have been following our social media platforms, you can see that early this year we started reporting, not just forwarding and mentioning what happened in the industry, but also we are sharing our own views of the industry because we want to foster a culture of learning and development within the aviation community and within MCAS to further educate our own students, the external aviation professionals, and the public on very important aviation topics. We want to mold everybody into an aviation leader, anybody who wants to build their career in aviation. So one such way that we can accomplish of what I just mentioned that we are trying to do is that MCAS has decided to start and commence MCAS Aviation webinar series for the year 2024. This year, we will be organizing webinars every month on certain very important aviation topics, incidents or issues that we feel is very relevant and important to the aviation industry, and content that we feel that could elevate your knowledge and critical thinking in aviation. This is targeted internally for our students as well as the external public, because as the leaders in aviation education, we thrive and we aim to educate everybody on aviation industry. So to that note, I would like to welcome you all to MCAS's first webinar for this year. And just to give you a little bit of a surprise, we already have planned our next webinar, which is tentatively planned for the 24th of March, 2024. So for the time being, try to keep your dates free for our next webinar and also await the announcement of the topic. Moving on, let us now dive into Boeing. The entire topic revolves around Boeing today. Some of you all might already know who Boeing is and what they do and why they're important, but let me give an introduction to Boeing anyhow. Boeing is a globally renowned aerospace company with a rich history of innovation and leadership in the aviation industry. Since its inception in 1916, Boeing has played a pivotal role in shaping the course of aviation, space exploration, and defense technology. Boeing was founded on July 15, 1916, in Seattle, Washington. The company began by producing seaplanes and later expanded into manufacturing military aircraft during World War I, and they developed through World War II as well, mainly focusing into military aviation. However, after the conclusion of the World War II, they shifted their focus into commercial aviation, thereafter becoming a commercial aviation pioneer. And Boeing made significant contributions to the development of commercial aviation, introducing several iconic aircraft models that revolutionized air travel. As you can see on the left, that is the list of Boeing airplanes, civilian airplanes that they have created over the last few years, decades. The most iconic being the 747, being the super jumbo jet, and the most latest ones being the Boeing 787, which is revolutionizing air travel. My personal favorite, of course, is the Boeing 777. And to most of you joining us here today, if you have traveled before, then you might have definitely been in one of these aircraft models. Moving on, we would now like to shift our focus to the 737, the Boeing 737-9 MAX. Let me give you a brief introduction to the 737-9 MAX. This type of aircraft is a variant of the much older 737 aircraft. It's more advanced and more modernized, more sustainable, more efficient. And it is currently used by many airlines across the globe, especially low-cost carriers, due to its efficiency and low cost of operations. However, this aircraft has faced a lot of scrutiny over the past few years due to a lot of issues with the aircraft type. Let's have a look further. Let's read what this says. The Boeing 737-9 MAX MCAS causes 2 crashes. You all must be surprised to hear this, but don't worry. This is not the MCAS of Millennium College of Aviation Studies. It refers to another MCAS, which is called the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System. As Boeing developed this all-time 737 aircraft, which had lower passenger capacity, now the new 737 MAX has been developed to try to fit in more passengers, around 180 to 220 passengers. So with this extended capacity, one of the regulation was to improve the safety features of the aircraft. So one such feature that Boeing has decided to include in the system, in the aircraft, is called the MCAS, the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, which is actually a safety feature to stop the aircraft from stalling and from crashing. It's a safety feature. But unfortunately, this safety feature that they have introduced has ended up being a dangerous feature, a deadly feature to the aircraft that has caused 2 crashes, one of Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines over the past few years, and which led the Federal Aviation Administration, that is the governing body of aviation in the United States, where this aircraft is based in, the aircraft manufacturer is based in. The FAA has decided to ground all the aircraft of this type, and they grounded it for a long time until they sorted out the issues with the MCAS and had to undergo some further trainings to improve the system. However, just recently, earlier this year, we saw another major incident. Of course, this incident did not cause any harm or any death or injuries to any passenger, but it definitely caught the eye of the aviation world, where early this year, an Alaskan Airlines flight, after taking off, climbing a few thousands of feet, the door known as a door plug, which is not actually a door, but it's a supplement of a door to remove the emergency exit of an aircraft, which is not required. So this door plug has blown off mid-flight just as they took off a few minutes, which caused depressurization in the aircraft. and terrorize the passengers on board. And the aircraft had to immediately go for emergency landing, and they landed safely with no injury or harm to any passengers or any other crew. However, this incident has created a major question mark on the future of the Boeing 737-9 MAX. Let's take a look further. As you can see, post this incident of the door plug being blown off on the Alaska Airlines, the reputation implications has been noticeable. As you can see with this diagram, it shows that Boeing shares took a dive after the incident, after videos of this incident started emerging. And other operators, airlines, aviation organizations have started to question the future of the Boeing 737. So this aircraft has definitely caused some stir in the aviation industry. Ranisha, over to you to introduce our expert.
Yes, thank you, Abdullah. I have the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Madhura Tivankar, today's guest speaker, joining us all the way from Australia. Dr. Tivankar is a senior lecturer specializing in sustainable tourism, strategic management, and marketing management. He is also a tourism and sustainability enthusiast with a strive to shaping a more sustainable and vibrant future for the tourism industry. Dr. Tivankar is also MCAS's marketing manager lecturer, which makes him the ideal guest speaker for today's session. Thank you, Dr. Tivankar, for joining us today. Over to you, Abdullah and Dr. Tivankar, to carry on with the session.
Okay, so we have given a brief description on the incident and Boeing, and we have a topic and we have an expert, and now it's time to talk about it. Okay. Dr. Tivankar, warmly welcoming you again to this event. We thank you for your time joining us all the way from Australia. Let us begin the webinar for today on the questions that we have prepared for you. The first question is to discuss on the passenger perceptions and considerations while choosing an airline to fly. So, Dr. Tivankar, what are some of the passenger perceptions and considerations that passengers will have?
Well, thank you, Abdullah and Ranisha, for the opportunity to discuss about one of the major aircraft type in the world. And thank you for inviting me for this first online webinar series of MCAS. So I would wish you good luck with the upcoming series as well. And for the people who are joining in, thank you very much for coming down here to have a chat about the Boeing 737. Well, answering to your question, Abdullah, I mean, when passengers are choosing an airline, I mean, my perception and considerations getting influenced, especially when it comes to the safety. The Alaska's incident involving, which is the Boeing 737-9 MAX, serves as one of the best example how this passenger perception is getting influenced. Me as an airline passenger is heavily influenced by the safety records and the reliability of the airline plus the aircraft type, especially when it comes to the recent incidents. I mean, me always seek assurance that the particular airline always prioritize the safety measures, and I always check whether it's getting aligned with the maintenance protocols. And not only that, I mean, transparency in communication about past incidents, how transparent they are and how genuine they are and what sort of steps that they have taken to prevent the future occurrences plays a significant role and a crucial role in shaping the passengers' perceptions. I mean, my perception toward the airline and the aircraft type. Beyond safety, normally passengers weigh factors such as ticket price, on-time performance, and in-flight amenities, customer service quality. So Alaska's incident underscores significance of safety in passenger decision-making process and highlights the need for airlines to continuously prioritize the safety measures and effectively communicate their commitment to passenger well-being is something which came to the topics when it comes to talking about the passenger perceptions. So just to summarize what I just told for the first question is like the perception is getting changed, heavily getting changed since it's a sensitive question. So safety measures and the protocols about the maintenance play a significant role when it comes to selecting an airline. So selecting an airline is always followed by the aircraft type if you are a regular passenger and a loyal passenger, Abdullah.
Thank you, Dr. Tivankar. Definitely safety, of course, the prices also matters when considering an airline to fly. We would like to dive a little bit deeper into how does aircraft, also the aircraft in this case, and the airline safety impact passenger confidence to fly the airline.
I mean, it's another important topic. I mean, that's one of the most important topic for a passenger. And I mean, no matter whether you are a loyal or a regular traveler or one-time passenger, it impacts for the confidence a lot. I think very recent incident is the return flight from Melbourne to Colombo, which grounded within few minutes due to a AC failure. I mean, the confidence is heavily depending on these measurements that they have taken, and aircraft and airline safety is one of the important concern for passengers, and it directly influence the confidence and in when it comes to choosing an airline followed by the aircraft type. When it comes to this incident where the Boeing 737-9 Max experienced a technical issue which is significantly impact the passenger trust. These kind of incidents normally shake the passengers' faith in the airline safety protocols and the reliability of the aircraft manufacturer. The first one is the faith toward the brand name, and then it goes to the reliability of the aircraft manufacturer. And passengers often perceive such events as indicative of broader safety measures, safety issues within the airline industry, causing them to question the safety standards of the airline in question and even the entire fleet of the aircraft model which is involved. I mean, if the aircraft or if the airline is having that particular aircraft type in their fleet, so the fate toward the airline plus the fleet gonna get challenged. Like for an example, like following Alaska's incident, passengers may exhibit like kind of a concern or a reluctance to fly on routes operated by 373-9 Max. Even, I mean, personally, I had a kind of a concern when selecting 737-9 when selecting my international traveling for this year. Even though the incident was resolved safely, I mean, like it was handled carefully, but it may raise concern among passengers about the safety about these type of aircrafts. And consequently, airlines operating 737-9 Max experience a decline in sales as well. I mean, not now, but in long-term years. Especially when it comes to the routes heavily utilized by the 737-9, and the passengers may opt to find alternative flights or different type of airlines when it comes to selecting the international travels or the domestic travel in near future, but not in the short term or medium term, but in long term years. So to conclude, like what I just told for your second question is like aircraft and airline safety measurements directly impact the passenger's confidence to fly with a particular carrier. So incidents like Alaska, one can significantly influence the passengers' perceptions and behavior, potentially affecting starting from Alaska to other airline sales and operations. So that's how the impact is getting created, and that's how it get affected for the other aspects of the industry, Abdullah.
Thank you for the wonderful insights, Dr. Tiwankar. We discussed about the passengers' perceptions. Now we would like to switch the focus, and I would like to ask you, what would the airline operators or the aircraft operators look for in an aircraft product when choosing an aircraft or operating an aircraft?
I mean, that has been, in the protocol standards for many years, and not unique to 737-9, but airline operators prioritize several key factors when evaluating an aircraft product uh, when they are about to purchase or when they are operating, because the safety is one of the most important. And when it comes to these kind of incidents, like the Alaska's one, thankfully it was unharmed, but these kind of events, these kind of incidents remind us again to have a look at these features, uh, which normally the airline operators are prioritizing when it comes to selecting the aircraft model. The first one I would say is the safety features. The airlines normally look for aircraft equipment or the advanced safety features and the systems designed to mitigate the potential risks or whatever the failures, to enhance the overall safety of the passengers and the product. This includes such as the redundant systems, advanced technical features, state-of-art flight control systems. It could be anything, whatever the feature which supports the safety feature is the first one that normally looks at. And I would say the second one is the reliability. The aircraft reliability is crucial for ensuring safe and efficient operations in economic terms and non-economic terms. So airlines normally seek the aircraft with a proven track record of reliability, minimal downtime, and high dispatch reliability rates. So these are some of the key characteristics airlines are normally look at uh, when it comes to selecting an aircraft. And the third one I would say is the compliance with the regulation. Different regions have different compliance mechanisms, but in overall, it's common to everyone. So airlines normally prioritize aircraft that meet the regulatory safety standards, or they normally look at the aircrafts which exceeds the regulatory safety standards set by different type of aviation authorities, such as the European Union Aviation Safety Agency. So compliance with these standards ensure that the aircraft is safe to operate and meets all the necessary standards to operate in internationally and domestically, which is the third one. And then the fourth one I would say is manufacturers' regulations. Airlines normally consider the reputation and track records of the aircraft manufacturer. Well, we have only two major aircraft manufacturers, but when they are selecting the aircraft type with a bigger quantity, they normally look at the track record of the aircraft. So it's normally the manufacturers with a history of producing safe and reliable type of an aircraft, either it's Boeing or Airbus, they should have a proper track record with that particular aircraft. So because that inspire the confidence of the product safety and the quality for the airline to select the aircraft. And I would say finally, the training and support. Airlines normally assess the availability of the comprehensive training programs and the ongoing support from the manufacturer to ensure that flight or the aircraft crew and then the other support services are adequately trained to operate the aircraft safely. Because if you are talking about like 50 plus aircraft order, you need to have a significant type of a training program. So this includes assess the stimulator training, technical support, maintenance services. So in overall, like all the airline operators prioritize safety, but including the features that I have told, they normally look at all these features when selecting an aircraft product. The Alaska's incidents underscore the critical importance of robust safety standards and rigorous evaluation processes in the aviation industry, especially when it comes to selecting an aircraft for the long-term sustainability of airline operations, Abdullah.
Thank you, Dr. Tivankar. So far, I've been hearing safety, safety, safety. So now that safety has somewhat been compromised on the 737, the highlight question for today's webinar is, has the Alaska incident hit Boeing's reputation? If so, how and to what extent has it impacted the reputation of Boeing?
I mean, it's important to know about the impact of this kind of uh, incident toward the reputation, because these two rivals design a massive and heavy intense competition when it comes to securing their orders toward their flagship aircraft types. The Alaska's incident involving the Boeing 737-9 MAX, along with the other accidents. Hope you know about those, but I'm gonna highlight those. And not only Boeing, the major competitors' incidents like A350 Japan Airlines crash and fire have undoubtedly impacted Boeing's reputation a lot. If I'm not mistaken, A350 Japan Air crash was able to evacuate the passengers within 8 minutes. So these incidents raise the concerns about the safety of Boeing aircrafts because it's getting simply compared and the company's manufacturing and quality control processes. The Alaska's incident, which involved an emergency landing of a Boeing 737-9 MAX due to a technical failure of exterior part, attracted significant attention from media and aviation industry than we thought. While the plane returned safely to the airport and there was no reported injuries, major, I would say, the incident nonetheless raised questions about the safety of one of the flagship aircraft. Boeing's reputation took a hit as the incident added to the strings of issues surrounding the 737 MAX series. I hope you can remember there was one incident connected to the Lion Air flight, which is 610, if I'm not mistaken. And there was another one, which is Ethiopian one. If I'm not mistaken, that's Ethiopian airline flight 302, I guess. Both of which were attributed to the flaws of the aircraft's MCAS. It's not about Abdullah, you. The entire 737 MAX fleet grounded for over a year, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, this grounding severely impacting the Boeing's reputation a lot because they're normally thinking about their future orders, which affected a lot for their brand name plus the financing aspects, leading to a significant financial losses and tarnishing their brand image. The Alaska incident further raised the concerns about the safety of the 737 MAX as it highlighted ongoing issues with the aircraft system and raised doubts about the Boeing's ability to address these issues effectively because it's getting continued. While the incident itself did not result in any major casualties, but it's still a reminder the potential risks associated with Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. I mean, this was further highlighted after the accident of A350. If you are an aviation geek, I mean, you might get surprised how Japan Airlines has handled the A350 crash and the fire. If you are not aware about that, the A350 Japan airline crash uh, generated another impact for Boeing's reputation indirectly, because while Boeing does not manufacture the A350 aircraft, it's a different that's from their major competitor. Incidents involving other aircraft manufacturers can still impact the overall perception of the aviation industry and the safety of commercial air travel. In the case of A350, a Japan airline crash, which occurred during the landing of, I can't remember exactly, Abdullah, the name of the airport, but I know that's in Japan. It's in Tokyo, but there is a particular name for that. But it was able to evacuate all the passengers and including the crew within 8 minutes, which is not a shock, because Boeing guaranteed that the A350 is one of the safest aircraft in the world. So incidents like Alaska's one, along with the A350 Japan airline crash and fire, has contributed to a broad erosion of trust toward the Boeing and the aviation industry as a whole. So these incidents highlight the inherent risks associated with air travel and underscore the importance of rigorous safety standards and oversight. Malinga says at Tokyo Airport. If I'm not mistaken, there is another name for the airport. So Boeing reputation has suffered as a result of these incidents, with the consumers and the industry stakeholders expressing now concerns about the company's commitment to the safety standards and the ability of delivering a reliable and safe aircrafts. So repeated setbacks involving 737 MAX series have raised questions about the Boeing's internal processes, including engineering practices, quality control procedures, and communication protocols. In addition to that, well, the financial losses incurred because of the grounding of the fleet, and then and the subsequent production delays. Not only that, they have faced some legal cases as well, further tarnishing their reputation. So the company has been criticized a lot in handling 737 MAX crisis, including the initial response to the accidents and the communication with regulators, airlines, and public. And Angelo says the name of the airport. So that's the one, yeah. So the impact of the Alaska's incident and the incidents like A350 airline crash, it's multifaceted anyway. And beyond the immediate financial losses and regulatory challenges, these incidents may have long-term implications for Boeing brand image in the market position for sure. Because China also trying to come to this competition, and I'm expecting that China gonna come to this industry within very few years of time. So the consumer trust has been eroded, and passengers expressing hesitancy, concerns about the flying on 737 MAX aircraft, and airlines are reconsidering their orders from Boeing about this aircraft type. So the company's stock price has fluctuated in response to negative news and investor uncertainties, reflecting the broader market concerns or the lack of confidence of Boeing's ability to navigate these ongoing incidents. So finally, Alaska's incident and the other aviation incidents have highlighted the need for systematic changes within the aviation industry, just to make sure that they increase the safety standards and improve transparency and restore the public trust. I would say, like, it's my personal opinion that Boeing must demonstrate a commitment to addressing the root cause of these incidents and implementing effective corrective actions to regain the confidence of passengers, airlines, regulators, and investors alike, which is something that they have to think, Abdullah. So I hope that I was able to answer your question.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Jivanka. In fact, there are many legal, as you mentioned, the passengers are taking legal action, lawsuits against the airline and Boeing. And
Oh, of course, I'm
even
gonna fire such a case if I'm over there because I don't want to get delayed. I don't want to put myself at a risk because of someone else's fault. I'm gonna open up a low case for sure. So I have been opening low cases for many airlines because of delays and other errors that they have made because my certain events got delayed. I was unable to participate for those. So likewise, so yeah, I agree with you.
And I even saw a statement by the Airbus CEO, Boeing's competitor, mentioning that the incident of the Alaska Air has humbled Airbus, had made them humble because they're also worried and uh, concerned that one day this could also happen to them. So definitely Boeing's reputation has taken a hit. I think we all can
Yeah.
agree on that. What could be the possible consumer behavior from passengers when they fly on a 737 MAX? Let's say one of the participants here today, maybe Yagya or Sandali or Inoka, chooses to fly on a 737 MAX. What would be their consumer behavior?
Well, the first thing is there might be a concern or reluctance to book the flight on the 737 Max series, particularly particularly in the immediate aftermath of this particular incident. Uh, Even when I'm traveling domestically in Australia, I just have a look at the type of aircraft that I fly, and I just want to make sure that I'm not getting surprised uh, from the aircraft type, especially. Well, personally, I always believe A320 Neo is something that can serve domestic markets a lot because of the track records and so on. So, well, answering to your question, concerns or reluctancy would be able to observe on the consumer behavior if the route is served by a 737 MAX series. Concerns about the safety, reliability could lead to some travelers to actively seek alternative flights, which going to be the same case for me, or different flight options, different aircraft types with competing airlines. For sure, I'm going to have a look because I don't want to fly in if such reliability is being exposed. Additionally, there may be a subset of passengers who choose to avoid flying on Boeing 737 MAX altogether until further uh, reassurance regarding safety measures, and this cautious approach may persist until comprehensive investigations because modern day traveler is very intelligent. They may expect a transparent response about these incidents, targeting specifically from the airline and the regulatory authorities. So, and there may be still travelers who maintain confidence in the safety of 737 MAX series. I'm not saying that 100% going to turn around, but there are some set of passengers who may still maintain the confidence. But so particularly if they perceive the incident as an isolated occurrence, or if they trust in the corrective actions taken by the airline, they may still trust the aircraft type. These passengers may continue to book flights on the 737 MAX, going beyond than their other passenger concerns. Overall, Alaska's incident likely to influence passengers' perceptions and behaviors regarding flying on Boeing 737 MAX, with some passengers opting for alternative options and others cautiously monitoring developments before making their travel decisions. So a person like me monitor and may take alternative decisions. So I would say three type of behaviors we'll be able to discover: monitoring, monitoring and observing, and then alternative decisions, or they may still have the confidence. So these three might be able to observe in the consumer behavior in upcoming months and the future of Abdullah.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Divankar, because it has definitely been traumatizing, that incident. I also read a statement where there was a child seated next to that plug door, and he was about to be sucked out into the air. And the mother was holding him down from his shirt and trying her best to hold him. So it's definitely traumatizing. And even me personally, I will not be shy to say that I will definitely think twice before flying a 737 Max until maybe they rebuild that confidence. However, on the other hand, I would say that maybe passengers who are not frequent flyers, passengers who don't know much about these aircrafts would not think twice because they will not know much about the aircraft or its incidences. So moving on, Dr. Divankar, what do you think are some of the possible impact on airline sales on destinations that are operated by the 737-9 MAX? Could we perhaps see a change or?
Oh, of course. It's gonna potentially impact airlines a lot because of the concerns and the reluctance, as I said, to book the flights by the passengers. Especially the destinations served by 737 Max may gonna have that impact. The decline. Concerns about the safety and the reliability could lead some travelers to actively seek alternative air routes or aircrafts or different airlines. So that gonna affect for the sales a lot. So as a result, like airlines operating Boeing 737 Max may experience a decline in demand for flights to the destinations served by that particular aircraft, and reduced passenger bookings could translate into lower seat occupancy. So that may lead to low occupancy rates, potentially lower revenue for these routes, impacting the overall profitability a lot, starting from short term to long term. So to mitigate the impact on the airline sales, carriers operating the Boeing 737 Max may need to implement proactive measures to reassure passengers about the safety about their air flights. This could include transparent communication, as I said, highlighting the safety features if they and the rigorous maintenance procedures if they are really keen on operating the same aircraft for the destinations. Abdullah. So just to conclude, yes, it's gonna affect a lot, starting from occupancy to occupancy, low occupancy and low occupancy rates, and then head into a lower revenue, impact into the final profitability of the airline.
Yes. And we've also seen some airlines ground that type of aircraft and replace it with another aircraft product, potentially
I'm not gonna
costing the
fly
airlines,
for sure.
millions of losses.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fly in that aircraft for sure for the next 2 to 3 years.
So someone like me who just admitted that they would be not scared, but somewhat think twice before flying that product. In terms of marketing psychology, how long will this incident play in a consumer's mindset? Will they ever move on from this incident, or is it always going to be in our minds?
It's very subjective. If you are an aviation geek, if you are a loyal passenger, if you are a regular passenger, this gonna have a lasting impact on your behavior or in your mindset, according to the marketing psychology, potentially influencing travelers' perceptions and the behavior for an extended period if you are a regular passenger or a loyal passenger. Aviation industry or the aviation incidents, particularly those involving safety concerns, tend to develop public concerns, which is shaping the consumer attitudes toward the specific aircrafts, models, airlines, will be able to identify after these kind of incidents. So in the case of Alaska's incidents or these kind of incidents, consumers may retain memories of the event and associate it with the aircraft type, even as time passes. These could lead to continued hesitancy or reluctance among some travelers. I'm not saying 100%, but some travelers to fly this particular aircraft model, and then that may lead to a failure in the marketing activities or promotional activities. So marketing psychology suggests that negative experiences or perceptions can have more significant and long-lasting impact on consumer behavior compared to positive ones. Therefore, the Alaska incident or the similar incidents may continue to influence the consumer mindset for an extended period, potentially affecting the airline's sales and the passenger demands operated by these kind of aircraft. So over time, as an airline and aircraft manufacturers they need to think about the safety enhancements, transparent communication, as I'm always saying, rebuild the trust with the consumers. uh, uh, so just to conclude, I mean, according to the psychology, this is going to have a long lasting impact, but it's very subjective because there are two type of passengers that you may able to identify, which is regular travelers and the one-time travelers. However, it's going to have a lasting impact for sure, Abdullah.
Thank you, Dr. Tiwanka. You're right. That is quite subjective because some people move on or tend to not take it as seriously as others. So we've been hearing that it has caused reputation implications, and it has definitely changed passenger perceptions on the aircraft, mostly negatively. So in that case, I would like to ask another question, which is what can Boeing, the aircraft manufacturer, do to reassure their customers, who are the airline and airline operators, and also the end customers, who are the passengers? What can they do to reassure them? And what are some of the marketing tools that they can deploy in order to do damage control at this situation?
I mean, it's important topic. I can see that Angelo also had the same question in the chat as well. So Boeing can take several steps to reassure their customers and the end customers with the aircraft or the airline. I mean, firstly, the company should prioritize transparent communication with the public for sure. They have to be very genuine, providing regular updates on the investigation into the incident, because I'm very keen on learning about what were the lesson learned and what sort of actions that they have taken, any findings, and the actions being taken to address the safety concerns. So openness and honesty can help to rebuild the trust toward the aircraft among customers. That's the first thing. Additionally, Boeing should focus on implementing rigorous safety measures, as I earlier said, enhancing the aircraft technical capabilities to face to the similar kind of incidents. And this could include software updates, additional pilot training, collaborating with regulatory authorities, ensuring compliance about the safety standards could be the second one. But in terms of marketing tools, for the damage control, I mean, there are various channels that to convey the commitment of safety and reliability. I mean, targeted advertising campaigns, which could emphasize the company's dedication to passenger safety, and testimonials from satisfied customers or industry experts, and promotional offers to encourage the bookings after anchoring the safety standards, would be able to generate or bring back the lost opportunities. I mean, so those are some of, but furthermore, Boeing could engage with the different type of stakeholders to make sure that they are endorsing the safety initiatives to rebuild the confidence toward the aircraft. So this could be in multifaceted approach in terms of communication and marketing. However, all these should be in a one wheel, and it has to have combination connected to each other if they're really keen on rebuilding this trust. So just to conclude, I mean, starting from the technical upgrades to marketing activities, they could have done a lot of to rebuild this trust.
Yes, yes. And I also heard you mention transparency. Unfortunately, Boeing may not be so transparent because I've seen a lot of statements and updates that there is a lot of scandal going on in Boeing at the moment, and there is even a Netflix documentary about the two crashes of the Lion Air and the Ethiopian Air. It's called Downfall, the case against Boeing, where there has been a lot of attempts within the Boeing management to conceal certain uh, effects of the aircraft. So transparency, I think, would be a very important factor moving forward. And to end with the last question for today's webinar, Dr. Tiwankar, uh, from the airline's perspective, because they are the ones who are operating this aircraft product the most. So what can airlines do to reassure their passengers, their customers, so that they can come and fly the aircraft? What can they do?
Yep. I mean, it's just going to be another conclusion about what I just told, but airlines can take several actions to reassure their customers are with them after the incidents like this. So the first one is, as I said, transparency, especially in the communication. Airline should prioritize open and honest communication with passengers about the safety procedures, maintenance protocols, and any other updates regarding the incidents. So providing timely and accurate information is important, and conducting safety demonstrations before each flight and highlighting all the rigorous safety measures in place can reassure the passengers' confidence about the airline's commitment for their well-being, enhancing training and offering different type of flexibilities towards the passengers, providing additional supports for the passengers, providing assistance to the passengers who are after flight disruptions, delays, so that may enhance the airline's commitment for the passenger satisfaction. And then airlines should continuously invest in safety measures and the technology upgrades just to make sure that they're maintaining uh, the safety standards and the towards the international standards, and to meet up the regular protocols, maintaining the flight checks, and then adhering to the industry safety regulations they could have done. And then I would say finally, like customer feedbacks, collecting data sets from the customers may help, because engaging with the customer is something that you could have always used to understand about the performance or the output of the product. So range of tactics are there, but these are some of the techniques that they could have done to reassure their customers are with them, Abdullah.
Thank you, Dr. Tiwankar. I really do feel sad for Boeing. It's definitely a really good manufacturer, and it's my personal favorite, as I mentioned before. So we all hope that they rebound with all their issues and come up on top. Thank you so much for all the thorough answers and detailed answers you've given us this evening, Dr. Tiwankar. We are concluding with the questions, and now we are opening up the session for any question and answers that may come our way. So to the audience, do you have any questions that you would like to ask Dr. Tiwankar?
Doctor, this is Angelo.
Angelo, hi. Yes.
Yes, doctor. Nice to see you, doctor.
Same here.
Yeah. Just to ask you a question, doctor, how would you leverage when it comes to reputation? Like, what type of channel would you choose? A digital channel or a printed or both?
Well, the modern day traveler is not into offline methods, Angelo. I mean, millennials to Generation Z is now into online channels. It's no point of having communications on offline when it comes to handling that type of stakeholders. But when it comes to handling the other stakeholders, such as regulatory authorities and governments, and then other type of stakeholders, you have to use offline channel just to make sure that you're adhering to the given protocols and so on. So it's very subjective. It depends on with whom that you are handling, with to whom that you are responding. But in terms of the customer perspective, it's more towards digital channels, because digital penetration is extremely high when it comes to the millennials and Generation Z.
When you're targeting the professionals, doctor, what media would you target? Twitter or LinkedIn or both?
I mean, X is, I mean, from my personal point of view, X is losing its reputation due to certain incidents what has happened, but LinkedIn still remaining at their level of reputation. So it's again subjective, but I would say a platform like LinkedIn uh, gonna play a significant role when it comes to securing the confidence of the professionals, because different type of discussions and comments, positive criticism and negative criticisms could take place in a platform like LinkedIn, especially from the experts, people who are having experience from the background. So I would say LinkedIn.
Thank you, doctor.
I just heard you say that X platform's reputation is also taking a hit. Now we are getting some ideas for another webinar session.
Of course, always. It's
Any
always
other
a curiosity drives us to learn more, Abdullah.
On
Any
the
other
defense of
questions?
Boeing, because Abdullah pointed out this traumatizing situation, when it comes to an emergency exit, we will not allow, the airline safety policy will not allow a child, an elderly person, or a handicapped or mentally challenged person to sit next to an emergency exit.
Exit.
So, yeah, in defense of Alaskan Airlines, I mean, in defense of Boeing, Alaskan Airlines, that's a clear safety violation.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you could have like go through all these exit door special protocols when you're sitting next
Because
to such.
you will brief the passenger who is seated next to the door how to open it
Yeah,
and how to operate it
yeah,
during emergency operation. So
of
I think
course.
that is a clear violation by the airline.
Yeah. At least during your takeoff and landing. I mean, if they're gonna do the seat changes.
Okay. Just to
All
add
right.
on that, Angelo and Dr. Divankar, in defense of Alaska Airlines in this case, so this door plug that has blown out is actually not a door or not an emergency exit. The 737-9 MAX, as I mentioned earlier on, it's an extended capacity. So the FAA regulates the aircraft manufacturers to add an extra emergency exit door behind of the aircraft, and in case there are more passenger seats available. But in this case, Alaska Airlines did not require, because they didn't have extra seatings. So they removed the emergency exit door and placed a plug door. So it's actually technically not a door to begin with. It's just a normal, like a seal that they have sealed off the door. And further investigations, I believe, have revealed that some of the bolts in these doors were loosened, and hence which caused the door to blow off. But good analysis, Angelo. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions from the audience?
I saw. Good evening, Mr. Younger. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I saw some memes about 737 and Boeing company. So when people found some errors in 737 Max errors, then Boeing company scared about that. So when on social media, how they manage that kind of reputation? They already sometimes harmed their reputation. So how can we manage that?
Well, that's what I told. I mean, you have to have the transparency, honesty, and open communication when handling any kind of communication platform, because it's gonna generate a long-term impact on that. So I'm not happy with how they have handled it. But they have to improve their openness, honesty, and transparency on these, knowing the fact that being open gonna damage at the short term, but in long term, being open and honesty gonna help them a lot to redevelop the brand faith, brand equity for the airline and aircraft.
Doctor, heading on to that, they fired the Boeing CEO, Dennis Muhlenberg. So he would have been the main block for any investigation because he is the one who was covering up most of the faults and the design faults of the aircraft. And they appointed David Calhoun, I think, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So don't you think that is transparency?
Oh,
Also,
that's not the transparency. I think they just trying to trigger us that they have taken corrective measurements. I mean, they have taken actions against the people who are responsible for that. But that's in a way good, but I don't know the steps that have taken after taking such a decision. But me as a passenger who always fly using such type of an aircraft, I am not expecting that the mother company removing the CEO before taking all the steps and corrective measurements and informing a loyal passenger like me about what went wrong and what are the future steps that they are going to take. But for the short term, removing the people who are responsible is good. But in long term, I'm expecting that particular person is explaining what has happened and what sort of corrective measurements that they are about to take or that they have taken, the reputational damage to the aircraft and the airline, Angelo.
sorry, doctor, I'm asking you a lot of questions. One more question.
Oh, no,
I'll
that's
answer.
all right. That's all right.
Can Boeing take action against the Chinese civil aviation because they were the first civil aviation to ground the Boeing 737s?
No, you can't take because they are different entities and they have their sovereignty on their different lands. So you can't sue someone because that has been already delivered and the property belongs to that land. So they have their different, they have their sovereignty to take their own decision. So we can't sue someone else sake of your product which has been already delivered and handed over the rights to someone else.
Okay, we'll say Sri Lankan Airlines had a Boeing 737-9 MAX and they want to fly that to China, and China is already grounded 737s. Can we fly that in a situation like that? Sri Lankan Airlines, I'm just saying hypothetically, Sri Lankan Airlines
Oh,
had a
yes.
737-9 MAX and we want to
Okay.
fly it into China and they've
Yeah.
grounded the aircraft. Is it a possibility?
I don't think. Because Chinese sovereignty may question us about the safety of passengers who are going to use that aircraft. So, and as a country who is having geopolitical pressure, we won't be able to operate such.
Thank you, Doc.
So I have a question.
Abdullah, yes.
So yeah, actually, this is a hypothetical question. What are the connections, I mean, between geopolitics and these incidents? I think Boeing, a company which have been having a good reputation since long time, and they forgotten to nut a bolt. So what are the connection between geopolitics and these recent events of Boeing?
I mean, recent incidents won't have that kind of geopolitical pressure because it's just a matter of securing the Boeing's reputation. But when it comes to the securing the market share and increasing the profitability, of course, geopolitics gonna play a significant role because that geopolitical power gonna anchor and support the Boeing brand name and increasing the market share. So, such as like influencing power of mother country towards these potential countries and the alliance gonna play a significant role. And in other way around, to secure the brand name and to secure the reputation loss, again, geopolitical pressure from the mother country gonna support a lot for them because since this kind of incident is significantly impacting the profitability of the airline. So there are a range of which we have to discuss in another webinar.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Interesting, more topics coming our way. Any more questions?
I actually do have one more question. I'm really sorry about it.
Please go ahead, Abdullah.
Can you hear me properly, sir?
Yeah.
My question is why USA is not putting investigations on these things, since I feel like insider threats could be a possible possible reason for these kind of incidents in Boeing.
I mean, that's what I told, like, you have to have the transparency on what is happening. There are investigations happening, but you don't know. Because they are not open, they are not honest, and they are not transparent. There are incidents, there are investigations are happening because that's the reputation of the mother country. But that whatever the information available for us, whatever the communication channel that they have taken is not open and transparent for us to understand what's happening. Answering to your question, they do take investigations, but we don't know.
Thank you, Dr. Tiwanka.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
We can end with one last question or some interesting thought to end this session with. Ryanair, which is a low-cost carrier based in Europe, they are one of the biggest operators of the 737-9 MAX and the 10-1 as well. So they have issued out a statement after these incidents mentioning that they have complete trust and confidence in this aircraft model, and that if any other airlines cancels the aircraft orders, that they would come and take that orders from them. So that's quite interesting to see, Dr. Tiwanka, that when other airlines and operators are quite concerned, Ryanair wants to get more of this type of aircraft. So what do you have to say about that in conclusion?
Abdullah, I'm sorry. I was unable to hear it properly. I just had a small
Can you hear me,
technical.
Dr. Tiwanka?
Yeah.
Yes. So Ryanair, one of the largest low-cost carriers in the world, and one of the largest operators of this type of aircraft. So while the other operators have stressed their concerns and negativity against this aircraft, Ryanair has issued out a statement mentioning that they are more than confident on this type of aircraft and trust it. And they have also mentioned that if there are any cancellations by other airlines or operators, that they would take those aircrafts from Boeing. So what do you have to say about that?
I would say the major reason is their business model is heavily supported by Boeing aircrafts in the Ryanair. If I'm not mistaken, I can't exactly remember the number of aircrafts owned by Ryanair, but I think 737 is one of the premium aircraft which is Ryanair is using. 737-800 and 737 MAX 8 are the major aircraft types which Ryanair is using as one of the premium low-cost airline based in Ireland. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Abdullah, they don't have Airbus aircrafts. So since their business model is heavily supported by Boeing, they have to rely on the the track records of safety measures taken by Boeing. So that's why they have confidently mentioned that all these measurements were reassured by the Ryanair. Otherwise, they're going to have a reputation damage or a business model failure. So that's the reason.
Interesting. Interesting to see the connection on why they would come up with a supporting statement, because their business model heavily depends on the 737.
Just to add to
any-
that, Abdullah,
Yeah.
600 over 600 aircrafts, all Boeing, is owned by
That's
Ryanair.
it. Yeah, that's what.
And already, I think Boeing has over 1,200 cancelled orders and 60 billion lost and mounting.
Yeah.
$60 billion.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much to everybody. Ranisha, over to you to conclude the session.
Yes, thank you, Abdullah, and thank you, Dr. Divanka, for setting the bar and the interest to our very first webinar, to the starting of our webinar series. Just to wrap up again, thank you to everyone who has joined, and we look forward to seeing you all in March for our next webinar. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Ranisha.
Abdullah. Thank you, Ranisha.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
much,
sir.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.